two teams on like 11 game win streaks. Like Cincinnati won again. So
it's nuts, and I'm glad that Flame's going to be able to be on next week. Tomorrow, my 18-year-old is graduating, so next week, why I'm not on the show is we're bringing him. He has a orientation to his college, so
let's go, hypes.
So I won't tell the stream where it is, but we just have to do that. So Flame's an awesome baseball fan, so it will be great. Can't wait to watch it actually while I'm away. So.
Hells yeah, let's go. Yeah. So what do you want to do? Want to do games of the week first?
Yeah, we can do that because I mean it's yeah.
Not because starting it off, one of the most important series that we were talking about, mostly because I need time. It was a crazy stream tonight. I didn't get time to actually open up any web pages like I usually do before our podcast stream. So I have nothing open right now. So the first series we're gonna talk about is Rays and O's.
And we don't have a producer like talking in our ear to give us stats like the professional analysts do. So
Oh man,
we're hiring. So anyone in the chat wants to be our producer, maybe I can give like I don't know. I got googly eyes.
You can stick googly eyes on your eyeballs.
Yeah, so that's what I'll be.
But the Rays and O's, they split the series. That was a good series. Like I watched some of those games. I watched the first game and I watched the middle. I think the third game. I don't remember.
There was only 2 games.
Oh, 2 games. Yeah. So I watched the first. I watched both games. Then I thought it was a 4-game series. My apologies.
No. It was a 2-game series. It's weird that it was 2-game, but they split it.
That's good. It was Baltimore was coming in on a high, and they did win the first game. And Tampa was actually coming in losing a series to San Diego. In San Diego.
Yeah. Tampa's been stable and winning games, but they've had ups and downs. I mean, but they had such a strong start of the season that they could afford to do it. I mean, they still have the best record in baseball. So.
That is true. That is very true.
But the Orioles, I could just say they're just a really good team this year, and it's I mean the Yankees basically gave them a potential all-star.
Yeah.
I put that stat in. It hurt.
Yeah.
Like I said last time, if Aaron Hicks does well, I wish him nothing but luck. But it hurts me that it's happening to the AL East team.
Yeah.
So.
Also, someone we didn't talk about last week was Taj Bradley, who 6 innings, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts versus the Orioles. Like, that's a very good line, because his last outing before that was 11 strikeouts, but only 4 innings pitched versus Oakland.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Oakland's a weird team where they can hit occasionally.
Also, I think he's on a pitch limit. Because he only threw 88 pitches that game, and he struck out 11. So that's probably why his pitch count was up. Also, he was on 4 days rest for that Oakland start. But the start before, he only pitched 3 innings and gave up 5 runs versus Texas. So, like, in Baltimore, we both watched Baltimore be good. So that was, like, for a rookie we didn't really talk much about. He's 5-3 with a 3.86 ERA and 10 starts this season.
Well, and pitching, I mean, pitching is a roller coaster of a position anyway. Mm-hmm. There's only a handful of, like, and I'll say tier 1 pitchers that are just consistently good, and even their bad starts are still what we consider quality starts. So there's there's only some. The middle range pitchers have bad games. They have great games. They have okay games. And that's what makes a season. Most of Tampa Bay's pitchers normally do well, though. I mean, you can go back years. They really don't produce bad starters. And there's starters throughout the league that came from Tampa. You can look back at when they traded and where they end up. So,
hells yeah. So the next series we were talked about was Dodgers and Giants. And that was also a very good series.
Yeah, and I mean that So the Dodgers won 2-1, but they're still they're still they're in third place. So I mean, regardless.
Hold on, the Dodgers won 2-1. Didn't the Dodgers get swept?
What was I looking at?
The Giants are on a 10-game win streak, aren't they?
So I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So just don't worry. Flame, you don't have a lot to hold up to.
I was gonna say, Flame, you want to come on now, Flame? Oh man, yeah. So
and I was about to say, I don't know why I said that. I don't know what I was looking at. You know why? Because I typed the wrong notes in.
Okay, fair.
And I looked at that. I was like, oh, what? And then I'm looking at the actual results. All right, so
because we were talking about how game one, we talked about how that, because we did the podcast on Thursday and they were coming off a 4-game win streak, and I'm like, they got to win game one in Los Angeles because that's a big series for them because it's in Los Angeles and it's a rival game. And then they go win 7-5. That was a good game. Then they go win 15-0 in game two.
They outscored the Dodgers 29-8 in the series, and they completely demolished them. Now, hopefully you put a marker in there so we could take away my moment of you know what the problem is. I think I'm just not very good on Thursdays. So but what I was trying to say is that they actually pushed the Dodgers out into third place.
Wow.
The Dodgers, they won those games. The Dodgers just, I don't know what's going on with them. It's not like they're, I mean, it's close. They did win 2 games against LA, but because of that sweep, they allowed San Francisco to overtake them in the standings by 1 game.
And then San Francisco went home. They went home, like, I don't know, was it on our games of the week? It wasn't on our games of the week because I don't believe San Diego is a team to be feared. But they went home and then walked off San Diego. I watched the Tuesday walk off. They walked off San Diego twice at home.
They won 3 straight without a day off. They went from, I mean, not that LA to San Francisco so far, but they went home. They won 3 straight, and they did lose today.
Okay, so they didn't sweep the series.
However, look, you win a 4-game series by winning 3. That's
and walking off 2 games. Like, they came home and walked off that
break
game.
Their win streak. But you know what though? They're going to go up against the Diamondbacks, and which is
honestly, that's a game of the week. That whole series is a game of the week.
Because it's at home for the Giants. So the Diamondbacks have to come in, and that can determine, because the Diamondbacks right now only have a 2.5-game lead. So if the Giants somehow sweep that, the San Francisco Giants,
even 2 of 3,
first place,
even 2 of 3 is good.
And to be perfectly honest, I still have yet to go back to the first week or 2 weeks when we were doing our predictions, because I'm pretty sure I remember saying the Giants were, but then I gave up on them. But that we'll edit that out.
I know it's not in our games of the week, but I have to kind of mention it. Have you seen who's leading the fucking division in the Central by 1.5 games? Because we're talking the Giants, I know we were gonna do games of the week, but I have to mention them. We were talking rookies last week. And I made sure I told you guys we didn't talk about half the rookies on the Cincinnati Reds team. And bro, they got Spencer Steer, Matt McClain. Let's go. They just called up Ellie De La Cruz, and guess who just fucking came back and hit a home run? Joey fucking Votto.
And Joey Votto is going to be great for those rookies, because that's an established veteran that has a work ethic like pretty much everyone, no one. He may be in his later part of his career, but it's good for them to see. It's good also, if they have some issues. But I mean, that team is firing on all cylinders.
They're on an 11-game
win streak. They had some easier teams in that area. They had the Royals and the Cardinals and the Rockies, but they also went into Houston. They went into Houston and
Yes,
swept Houston.
in
Now that's
Houston.
not, yeah. So that right there, you're like, well, maybe there's something going.
Yeah,
they can
and they
push.
came back. That Houston, the Sunday game against Houston, they came back later in that game and won that game.
So they they have an off day, and
Yeah,
sometimes off days can pause, but I don't think
pause
this
window.
team's going to have that issue
Well,
because they'll be working, and and we'll write this down, but
yeah,
we'll
we have
talk
to.
about this. But their series also coming up is a series of the week.
Oh,
Actually, to me, they have back-to-back series that
yes,
you can watch. You can basically watch the next 6 games of Cincinnati and see
yeah,
some great baseball. Hopefully,
yes.
anything can happen. But they play the Braves
Mm-hmm.
at home, but then they go up to Baltimore, or over to Baltimore, I should say, based
Mm-hmm.
on and they play a 3-game series there.
And
So
and also
they're playing two first place
and
teams.
the biggest thing, that division, we've been talking about how that division was ripe for the taking from anybody, And look at they're already 1.5 games up on the next team in that division just by winning 11 games. Dude,
So,
literally, I think I'm not even joking you. When we did our podcast last week, they had 27 wins and were fourth in the division.
So I don't know how well their pitching has transformed in this 11-game series, but that's and it's still one of their issues. But
A hundred. Well,
if they can bring
yeah.
in some pitching, that division may be theirs. And we're talking old school. I mean, it's been a while since Cincinnati's had
That's
has
good.
challenged that division.
It's
So
good. It would be good for the team, and also like thing is they have nothing to lose. Like they just called up all their prospects, like all their like so many, and their prospects are playing well. And those guys probably played well in the minors, and they don't want to lose, and they want to show people this is who we are. This is who the new Royals are.
Cincinnati, you mean?
So the new Reds are. My
See,
God,
it's contagious. Don't worry, it's fine. But but that being said, like that could be the Royals in the future. But teams like Cincinnati, a smaller market team, less pressure. The media isn't like on them all the time. It's great for these rookies, I'm sure, because they don't have the same. A team like Toronto, like the Yankees, the Red Sox, they could not pull up this many rookies because the atmosphere would be too toxic.
Honestly, actually, the Blue Jays had a policy. The Blue Jays actually had a policy that they only would bring up top rookies on the road. So, like, when we were pulling up big rookies back in the day, I fully remember Brett Laurie was ready for the major leagues, and they're like, okay, we're going to pull him up. We got a 6-game road series. We're going to take him into Baltimore, and he played 6 games on the road before he came home to Toronto, so that he wouldn't get overwhelmed with the presence in Toronto. And honestly, I fully agree with it. But another one of the big things is that the Cincinnati Reds were one of those teams that also had a shitty owner. A shitty owner who was awful to the community and awful to the team. And basically told Reds fans, I don't give a crap. And it wasn't a good look. And so the people running that team have like, honestly, they have picked up the right guys. They got a bunch of good, like, they got a bunch of guys who are just like, who are fill-ins, who are playing well. Like Kevin Newman is playing well as a backup infielder. They got Luke Maile as a backup catcher. You know what I mean? They got some guys on the team that are playing well, and even without their starting pitching, they have a couple starters who were supposed to be good for them. Nick Lodo, Graham Ashcroft, and Hunter Green, who are all on the DL. And Hunter Green is one of their best pitchers. If you haven't seen Hunter Green pitch, go watch him pitch. He is amazing. And also, Edwin Diaz's brother is having a season almost as good as Edwin Diaz could put in. Like Alexis Diaz is Edwin Diaz's brother, and he has a 2.3 ERA with 20 saves in 32 games. Their bullpen is on par with one of the best bullpens in the league. Their highest of their 5 best bullpen guys, their highest ERA is 3.31.
So what I want to point out, I'm gonna, they did what they should do against the Royals and the Rockies, but the Astros series, that they swept them, they that last game of that series went to extra innings, went to 10. and it was a close game. I mean, so when you look at the score, it was 9-7 at the end, but it they battled back and forth. The Reds came back, and in the 10th inning, the Reds scored 3, and Houston scored 1. Basically, the Reds are like, all right, let's finish this. You know, it's important that we see that, because look, you can be hitting and doing well and win regular games, but those extra inning games, when you're winning those also, you're showing that you're an all around team,
especially on the road. They won that game on the road, and then so they scored runs, then had a runner at second base, and didn't let Houston catch up to them, which is like, for a young team, that is really good.
I mean, that's what India's been doing. So
yeah.
So I mean,
so do you want to go back to the games of the week, or do we continue talking about good teams? I had to mention, because I actually hadn't looked at the standings yet.
Look. I feel bad we didn't have Cincy on any of these games of the week, though. You know, because we knew they were doing well, but we're like, well, let's see what happens.
But it was Cincinnati. Like to be fair,
they came out of winning a series against the Dodgers, the Cardinals, and the Royals, and we're like, all right, that's good. Yeah. We didn't realize they were going to win the next 6.
Well, we honestly, okay, to be fair, they beat St. Louis, which was a bad team in St. Louis. They beat Kansas City. So yeah, they were on a 5-game win streak, but they're going into Houston. And we both know that going into Houston is not the easiest place to play baseball with that fan base, and that team. And that, for honestly,
I get some like nightmares, some, waking up from Houston games, and especially in the playoffs. So,
and that first game, honestly, would have been if you guys watched that game. That first game was awesome. It was a 2-1 victory for Cincy, where the first run was scored in the 7th inning, and and Houston scored 1 in the 9th. Bro, like, that was an absolutely like amazing game. And I saw some of it. Like, I watch a lot of different parts of baseball, but I wasn't fully paying attention, but I was streaming at one of those days, and I saw the comeback game. I was streaming, and I was like, bro, come on, Houston, win something.
In Houston almost came back. Hi. Someone's just saying hi. So, I had to interrupt the podcast. Hi, everyone, from one of the kids. Houston almost came back, too. I mean, they scored 1 run in the bottom of that game, but, they did what they needed. Cincinnati's closer is good. So, that's one thing they do have is consistent, I believe he's got 18 saves, right?
20 saves.
20 saves now?
Yeah. Right. And like I said, he's Edwin Diaz's brother, and he's pitching like Edwin Diaz. Like, obviously he hasn't made a name for himself yet, but he's making a name for himself now.
Well, and that's so, we can get off the Cincy train. However, both of those series coming up.
They're on the games of the week. They're on. Come on, since he's a division leader, we gave Minnesota. How many series did we give Minnesota? So, like, since he's 5 games over 500.
Minnesota's still in the thing.
But Minnesota isn't 5 games over 500 like Cincinnati is now.
No, they're 1 game under 500, and they're leading that division.
So Cincinnati
we can shit on the AL Central right now, because I don't care how bad our teams are doing, because we both are having some issues with our teams. Yeah. Over 500.
No, we both of us would be winning the NL Central still too. So
and we were talking off stream about how the restructure should be. Sometimes I feel we should just bingo it, and that's how the divisions can be. It doesn't matter where you are located, since now the schedules don't really.
Certain teams like shouldn't be playing. Like, you shouldn't have West Coast teams in a division with East Coast teams. There has to be some parity.
mean,
we shouldn't be like you can't with the way travel is, you can't have teams flying from the East Coast to the West Coast every week.
That's not how the schedules are made anymore. So I don't think it would have mattered.
It
does not matter who where you are in the division.
But it matters a little bit. It still matters just a little bit for travel. Like, you're not gonna have the Blue Jays aren't gonna be in a division with Seattle,
do they have to
Oakland.
Take more? Do they have to take more first class flights? Oh.
No, I meant for the players' health, like time zones. You're not gonna have an East Coast team, even honestly, Houston and Texas in the same division with Los Angeles, Seattle and Oakland.
Listen, I'm normally a fan of player health, but you're telling me that they're getting less sleep? Just don't go out to dinner and eat in. You know, when you get to the ball.
Honestly, fair enough.
You know,
fair enough.
Go.
Okay. We just
on the plane. There's a lot of that's not going to win me over because now that we have the restructured scheduling and it was probably going to be tweaked again next year and the year after. You know, it's that. But let's go to another game of the week before we go down.
Before we go to the game of the week, a little thing. The College World Series game between LSU and Wake Forest is going into extra innings. It's 0-0 after 9. The next game of the week was the Braves and the Phillies. Now, we put this on there specifically because the Phillies have been playing better. The Phillies have been playing better, and it was like let's see if the Phillies can play well.
And don't look at my notes. I don't know what kind of last minute drugs I'm on when I'm doing these, but
okay. So to be fair, did they win today?
The Braves won.
The Braves won. So the Braves won both games because one of the games
was won on Tuesday and on Thursday. The game on Wednesday was rained out.
Okay, so
the makeup Phillies will be all the way in September.
Yeah. So the Phillies didn't do so well in that series. But the games were good. Like, I did watch a little bit of Tuesday's game, and the games were good. The Strider was good. So it was a good game. It was a good series.
And the Braves, I feel like the punching bag team this month has been the Rockies. The Rockies have had a rough
Kansas City.
June.
And Kansas City.
Well, Kansas City had a rough May and April too.
But they're 3-15 in June. They actually won 10 games in May. Kansas City did.
But
how many games have the Rockies won in June?
Oh, I don't see that on mine.
Oh, let's go. They've won 5. And they actually won 15 games in May. The Rockies did.
And they've had a rough June because they got 4 games swept by the Braves before.
Oh, Braves went off.
Yeah, they scored a lot of runs, and it was home, so it was not like they were in Denver with that.
Okay.
But those games, the Braves took care of business against the Phillies, and the Phillies they're squandering a potential chance to be
exactly
competitive.
They need to beat those, especially when they're at home. That was a series in Philadelphia too, and they need they can't be losing both those games. Now Philadelphia is 9 games back. Miami did struggle this week. Kind of this week. They did sweep Washington.
They struggled so hard,
They sweep Washington, but they did lose their last 2 versus the Jays. What
was I doing when I made these notes?
I have no idea, bro.
I inversed whatever.
Okay, I basically I shouldn't even look at my notes because they're all awful.
At least the games are there. I wrote down the games.
That's fair. Okay, but you got one right. So we were talking about Pittsburgh this season, and Pittsburgh's had an up and down season. But their last 2 months they've come down to earth. They have come back to earth, and they are now 4th in the division. They got swept by Milwaukee, and honestly, it was mostly a big series to see if Pittsburgh can hold their own again. But Pittsburgh has literally lost 1, 2, 3,
They have
4,
10 in a row.
5,
They've
10 in a
lost
row.
10 in a row. They're 0-10 in their last 10.
They got swept by the Cubs, swept by Milwaukee, and then swept by the Cubs again.
Yeah.
So they have had a rough stretch. Now Milwaukee, like that, it was a
They
big.
basically have gone from above 500 to below 500.
Yeah,
Well,
they're
seriously,
they're
when you
5
lose
games
10 in a
below
row,
500 now. They're 5 games below. They were 5 games above when we.
They're not. So as someone that has a couple of a couple of their players,
Yeah.
potentially eyeing on their fantasy league,
Yeah.
they're not hitting. That's one of the biggest issues.
Yes.
They've
And
basically stopped hitting the ball. I mean, they did hit a little today, but there's a lot of O's and 2s, and you can't really win a lot of games if you're only scoring like 1 or 2 runs and no runs.
Now we did call the game of the week was Wade Miley. One of the games of the week for that series was Wade Miley versus Mitch Keller, and it didn't live up to the billing. Wade Miley pitched well, but Mitch Keller did not. He had a rough outing. Still struck out 7, still pretty good, and I still think he deserves to be an all-star. But at the same time, Milwaukee came in, and like I said, like even with Cincinnati going 11-0, we know that Cincinnati will not be able to keep on winning like that. So Cincinnati may fall back to earth a little bit, especially with their next couple series. So Milwaukee sweeping and staying like close enough to the division lead, because this division, no matter what, is still anybody's game. And
so I've learned that I don't want to eat my words too much, and I don't want to say that Cincinnati is going to have a rough time against these two teams, because I know if I do, Cincinnati's going to sweep them both, and we're going to be like, what?
And then we're gonna have an Oakland A's situation. They're going to go 20 and they're going to win 20 games in a fucking row.
But what I will say is with Pittsburgh, coming back down to earth, it's actually good for the rest of the league at trade time, because them and St. Louis have players that other teams will trade, and it can help them with, continue to get better, because Pittsburgh's put some effort into trying to be a little bit better.
And they did call up the number 1 prospect as well, Henry Davis, but also Henry Davis got called up and didn't play catcher. He played right field for his very first game in the major leagues. So, and if you guys remember, Henry Davis was a number 1 overall draft pick in 2021. So like that's he came out. He was a college player, so he's a little more advanced. But he came up very quick, and he only has 1 hit so far in the major leagues. But he played right field, for his first game, and he didn't do too bad. But like he's not he is meant to be a catch. Now he's up for his bat. He is up for his bat because he can hit. And they do have a pretty good defensive catcher in Austin Hedges, and Jason DeLay is their backup who is hitting. So like they do have some pretty good catchers, but you will see him behind the plate a little bit as well.
So,
but yeah.
So with that being said, with that game, the Brewers sweeping them, they needed that.
Oh, 100%.
They need that, because without that sweep in there, I mean, they're 4-6 in their last 10. So if you think, if they didn't have that sweep, they're struggling, and it's, the Cubs could still figure some stuff out and pull up.
Honestly, to be fair, the Cubs have played well, because like the Cubs got lucky and they basically played Pittsburgh. They won 6 straight games against Pittsburgh. Honestly, the Cubs would be on a huge winning streak if they didn't lose that 1 game to Baltimore, because they also beat Baltimore.
And they'd be probably higher up in this division if it wasn't for the fact that Cincy has gone on that 10-game win streak. So it's interesting. The Cubs are the only team in that division that has a positive differential. They're the best pitching team in that division. So if they can figure out their hitting woes, they could take that over.
Well, May was awful.
I'm not sure what this division's going to turn out to be. This season's been fun. I mean, you've had the teams that you are going to be competitive through the whole.
Yeah.
Whether they make the playoffs or not is yet to be seen. But you knew some of these teams were going to be.
I guess we're almost at the end of the month. We're almost at the month. The teams I'm disappointed in are the New York Mets, St. Louis Cardinals, Seattle Mariners, and San Diego Padres. All of those teams, so Seattle's playing in a division where we discounted LA because you all basically you discount the Los Angeles Angels because you always discount the Los Angeles Angels. You shouldn't because they have two of the best players in the game, even though Mike Trout is having his worst season ever and is still having a great season.
I'll take Mike Trout's worst season ever on
he's
the Yankees right now. So,
dude, I think he is the second best hitter on his team, and he's having his worst season of his career.
But the Angels have other talent too, and and so they did suffer, and we don't have them in any of our games, but they did suffer a loss. They just lost an outfielder or an infielder. Why? They
lost Zach Neto. Zach Neto went on the IL, didn't he?
No. Well, yes, but they also lost.
Didn't Gio Urshela?
Yes.
Gio Urshela, yeah.
They lost Gio, probably maybe for the whole season. Which I mean, I know that's not. I mean, he's a consistent player.
He was hitting 300 this season. He was hitting 300 playing 62 games.
He hits. He's a 300. He's a contact hitter. He's a pretty decent player. Yeah. I did like him when he was with the Yankees, so I got to see. But he's consistent for them, and having him not in that lineup could cause some strain.
But Seattle made the playoffs last season. Like I said, we discounted.
And I know they did. But that's the one out of everything that you just said. That's the one I disagree with. I didn't have a lot of hope for Seattle this year.
Really?
Because I didn't feel like they did enough.
They brought in a right fielder who has a 2-time Silver Slugger right fielder. They picked up a second baseman who's absolutely shat the bed for them. So they picked up a good defensive second baseman, and they picked up some pitching.
But I don't feel like they did that. What they needed to do. They're in a division, and the Rangers basically opened up a vault and did what they needed.
But the Rangers had that money though. The Rangers always had that money.
Always competitive, and so I don't feel like Seattle has money. Don't worry, don't think they did.
Not as much as Texas though.
No, but they have money. It's not like they didn't. I mean, they. In the past history is they've given some big contracts, so it's not like they haven't. So but that being said, I'm not even talking about pure contract.
Who did they sign? Who did they sign this season?
What did Texas and Houston do to be competitive? Seattle is in a tough division of teams that are consistently trying to be better, and you have to do. And we know this from being in the AL East.
Fair enough.
If
You're
our
right.
teams don't do things on the off season, what's going to happen? You're going to be last place.
And to be fair, you're right. I'm looking at who they picked up, and the people they picked up, they also got unlucky. The two people they signed this offseason, both have shat the bed. Colton Wong's hitting 154, and AJ Pollock's hitting 160. And AJ Pollock, those are the two people they picked up to tighten up their team. And Robbie Ray, their free agent signing from a year ago, is on the IL. He's out for the season.
Yeah.
So they don't have him. Luis Castillo's pitching well, but getting no run support.
My problem with them is they've made some bad trades. I mean, they've made. I wouldn't say bad trades. They've made some questionable trades over the last couple.
They made some trades that didn't work out. Honestly, most of the trades they've worked out because we went over their trades a couple whiles, and it hasn't worked out for both sides. But the trades they made haven't worked out for them, which is more important. So you're right. They haven't done what they needed to.
I wasn't surprised. I'm not surprised with their.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like they could still turn the ship around. Yes. But I wasn't surprised with where they are right now versus the other teams. Look, San Diego, I had high expectations,
but especially with how Texas has played too, right? And especially with how Texas
Louis, I don't know what.
Yeah. I mean, what happened to them?
I think they want their manager fired. So,
bro. Well, also, both of us, I don't know about you, but I think both of us picked St. Louis to easily win that division.
Well, I think some of that's also we didn't have a. I think both of us said we weren't really sure about this division. Because,
we weren't sure, but it was St. Louis's to lose.
And they lost it. I mean, I don't think they could come out of.
It seems like
9 games.
Yes. Yes.
It's. I don't know. I don't know.
They had a good May. They had a good May, but they're June. They're 5 games below 500 in June. They're 6-12 in June.
I'm curious what that ownership does if they say, all right, we have to. That's tough for them because
I don't know if they're
they're
gonna sell their stars.
technically competitive,
Yeah.
but if you have a chance to get a good draw, because there's a lot of teams
So
that
we're
are
gonna.
surprised and they can get some
Yeah.
good talent
So when
back
you come
if they
back,
trade people.
when you
I
come
do
back
feel like
on the
I do
6th,
feel like
yeah.
they're gonna. I think they might trade.
Yeah.
They might trade Ghostrad.
When you come back on the 6th, we are 100% going to talk trades for the entire stream, guys. So if you guys want to talk trades with us, we are going to be talking, like, we're going to spend the entire, we're going to talk games of the week, and then we're going to talk trades. Honestly, because we might not even talk games of the week, because I'll be picking games of the week, because Flame won't, because Flame will be doing the podcast with me the week before. So I'll be picking games of the week, so I'll probably talk games of the week, and then we'll talk trades for the entire stream. And don't worry, that is going to be one of our huge topics. St. Louis, honestly, we'll have to see, because they got 2 weeks. They got 2 weeks.
I got
Can
some
they do it?
days. I got some days off.
Yeah.
Right before that too. I mean, I got the 4th of July here,
Okay.
so it's a holiday. So I'm planning on watching some good baseball.
Okay.
So pick some good games of the week. I'm going to be writing down what you're asking us to watch, and I'm going to try to watch those games.
So like honestly, I'm gonna say St. Louis. Up until our next pod, St. Louis has a little tough schedule. They have a 2-game series with the Cubs. Apparently, hold on. Have they not played since Wednesday? They're not playing today, and they're not playing on Friday.
What?
They're not playing today or Friday. No, St. Louis. St. Louis is not playing today or Friday.
Maybe they just forfeited the season.
They got 2 games. They got 2 days off. That's really weird in the season. Sorry for like. It's really weird to see a team get 2 days off in the middle of the season.
Oh, that's because they're playing London over the weekend.
They're doing a London series.
Yeah,
That's why. Okay.
That actually is. I wouldn't normally say, "Hey, watch a St. Louis game," but one of those 2 is actually really good because one's
10 a.m. You want some morning baseball? You want some 10 a.m. Eastern time? You want some morning baseball, guys?
Yeah,
7 a.m. Pacific on a Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern.
My browser is giving me Central Time Zone, so that's weird because I live right in the middle of the country, so
but yeah, so they're playing a 2-game series with the Cubs. Then they're going to Houston, and then they're going to New York. So, but now they're technically home for all of those games, because obviously the Cubs series they're not going to be home for because they're in London. But it's technically a home game for them.
I mean, I have a feeling they're going to have more fans in London than the Cubs.
No,
just because St. Louis has such a historic fan base.
So do the Cubs.
I mean, look,
though.
it comes as Yankees and St. Louis.
They
are the ones that have won. They've won like, what is it?
But the Cubs are one of those teams, bro.
4th of all the World Series and been to at least the 4th of them or something.
Cubs are one of those teams that have been around for the longest, so like they have a lot of fans as well. And the Cubs have recently won a World Series. Cubs have recently won a World Series that gets you casual baseball fans. Oh, I'm a Cubs fan. Let's go.
The question is how well do the Cubs fans travel versus St. Louis?
Okay. Oh, my bad.
Travel better.
We forgot to include. Okay, after they play the Yankees, because after they play the Yankees, they also play the Marlins on the July 4th weekend. And if they have done well, that would be a series to watch. My Marlins fan in chat is reminding me.
Series actually. Yeah.
My Marlins fan in Miami, my Marlins fan is letting me know that that's going to be a tough series. Now, I didn't mention that series, Blaze, mostly because that is 2 weeks away. But yes, the Marlins will be another series for them that the Marlins should win. And we don't know
how the Marlins or St. Louis will be doing in between those times. But
like I said, trades will be a big talk.
I will say I am high though. I am high on the Marlins.
Yes.
It's great to see them do.
Like I said, I will keep saying this every single time we talk about them. If Sandy can literally just pitch like half of what he did last year, not even be anywhere near as good as last year, but just pitch a little bit like he did last year, that team will be feared. because in Yuri Perez their rookie, their 20-year-old rookie, has literally only given up one run in 5 starts. He gave up, and that was a home run. He has not given up a single run other than a home run against Chicago in 5 starts. He struck out 9 in his last start versus Toronto in a 2-0 loss. Like Sandy pitched 7 innings but gave up 10 hits. Like, so it's like if Sandy can just come out and be the same pitcher that he was, like just half the pitcher he was last year, that team could challenge the Braves, honestly, because their bullpen is really decent. They have 4 good, legitimate bullpen options, 5 even.
It's so I don't know when they play the Braves next, but the problem I see, they could challenge them, but the Braves hitting this year has been pretty solid.
Actually, they honestly, so that'll be honestly, that's gonna be my game of the week over that weekend. I'm just letting you know because they're playing the Braves over the Canada Day weekend. So keep out the eyes, guys. Keep out your eyes. And if you don't know what Canada is, Google it. No. Let's go. So that will be a game of the week next week for sure. So hold on. So do we want to write down our games of the week this week?
Yeah. So well, we do have to talk. I mean, you talked about the Marlins. Were you excited that the Jays won that series? Because that was one of our
very important series to
our pick, for our teams.
Yes.
Games of the week. And I'll just forget about the.
Well, as you can see, I didn't even mention it. I was nice to you. Look, I didn't even mention it.
The background is here for a reason. I could put up and also when we went live, the Yankees were losing 10-0 to Seattle. Now they did already 1-2, but look, they're losing 10-0. So I was like, what? But they did get swept by the Red Sox, and that hurts because the Red Sox are horrible. So
like we talked last week, the Red Sox won. The Red Sox won 2 of 3 in Yankee Stadium. Then the Yankees go to New York and lose to the Mets, and then get swept in Boston. And then they come back home and beat Seattle. Cole pitches a good game. And then they get demolished in the last game of that series. Like I said, They won 2 though. They still won 2, which was necessary.
So I don't know. I'm.
So what are our games to be? Let's make them.
So
down.
We have Braves and Orioles.
Okay.
Versus Cincy.
Okay.
All 6 games or one or
Okay.
Well, like we always say is check out one game, check out any of them. Check out an inning of.
But that's a
every
series.
Game,
But that's a series because it's a couple good teams.
Yes.
We do have Arizona and San Francisco. Check out the entire series. The Friday night game might not be hard to watch, but I do say check out the Saturday game. The Saturday game, I'm not 100% sure who's pitching. I don't know if you know. But I think the Saturday game will be some good pitchers. So check that. Also, Arizona's
since I have all of the San Francisco Giants pitchers on my.
Arizona has some fun players on that team, and San Francisco, like I said, both those teams are playing pretty well, and Arizona's leading that division, so that's going to be a good series to watch.
Saturday, the San Francisco is all to be determined on all their pitching. So
okay,
but Kelly's pitching for Arizona.
Well, no, remember they just did lose Cobb, right? They just did lose Cobb.
Yeah.
So then they're probably figuring it out. Honestly, so I'm going to do another one. Arizona's going to get a couple for this week. Tampa Bay going into Arizona. Tampa Bay's going into Arizona, and that's a game between 2 division leaders. So no matter what happens between Arizona and San Francisco, they got a hard week coming up. No. And now they are like I said, they are going to be facing Tampa at home, but still Tampa is a very good team.
Arizona's done pretty well at home, but actually their splits are better away, which is interesting. that stadium is a hitter's dream
Yeah.
though. So I don't know. I'm interesting. Tampa Bay hasn't been hitting they've been hitting, but not as well as they did in the beginning of the season. So it'll be
Mhm.
interesting how much they just slug out.
Yes.
Um, you know, I
Yeah.
mean,
But
they're
well, what about you? Any other games?
I do. I like to see we were talking about the Marlins, and I Blaze is a Marlins fan.
Yeah.
I'm actually hoping they sweep the Red Sox.
Oh, yeah, so we'll put them. Honestly, that's actually a good series for them. No, because like I said, the Red Sox are a team over 500. So if you look at it from the lens of facing a good team, that's a team that's 3 games over 500. You know what I mean? Like they just came off playing great baseball against the Yankees.
Games of the week coming up. I think I need to put and I'm hoping it's a good series.
Yeah.
Texas versus the Yankees.
Yes.
I know but
Texas. Yeah.
it could be great for Texas, but I'm curious to see how they do.
Very good
That
series.
team is I'm afraid that it's going to be like 3-15-0 games, but we'll see.
It's in New York. It's in New York, so it should be a little easier. It
Yeah,
should be. It should be a little a better series. But like Texas has been playing really good baseball, and so like there is a little thing that Baseball Reference does. It's called the simple rating system, and it's called the number of runs per game. They are better or worse than average team, average MLB team. S a run differential plus strength of schedule. That's what it means. And
okay.
Texas is plus 1.8 for their schedule this year. Plus 1.8, which means they're scoring more runs and they're playing against the teams they need to score more runs in, and they're winning games against teams that they need to that are around their season. The Yankees are a 0.7. The entire AL East is obviously the entire AL East is still the only team that has all of their teams with a positive simple rating system, because obviously all their teams are above 500. But the West, if you exclude Oakland, is also all positive, as well.
Right. And
So,
and
and
so
honestly, they're on par with Tampa. Tampa's only a 1.9 now in their simple rating system. So Texas is literally only a few games back behind Tampa for best record in majors.
I'm interested to see how they go against the Yankees, because this is going to be the third weekend in a row that they
Mhm.
faced an AL East team.
Yeah,
They played against Tampa Bay,
yeah,
the Jays, and now
Mhm.
the Yankees. And
Mhm.
that's I mean, it's great for Texas fans because I'm sure their games are getting more and great for Texas because they're getting their games watched,
Mhm.
because at least it will get more ratings a lot of times. But it's going to be interesting. I think they won that series against the Jays, correct?
We don't want you guys to watch these games, but we suggest that if you guys enjoy baseball, these would be the best games to enjoy. Obviously, enjoy your teams first. But thank you guys for being here. As always, guys, this podcast will be uploaded to YouTube on the week.